Thanks for joining us for This Week in Evansville. Hi, I'm Johnny Kincaid, your host. This Week in Evansville is produced in the studios at City Gate on Evansville's east side, located on Eagle Crest Boulevard, right behind the Hilton Garden Inn, kind of by Cracker Barrel, that general vicinity. The reason why I give you that information is because we'd love to have you come by on a Tuesday at noon to join us for prayer. Tuesdays are Pray for Our City Day at City Gate, and we would love to have you come by and participate. 320 Eagle Crest Boulevard is the location. We spend our time dedicated to praying not only for Evansville, but for the community surrounding us here, for our community leaders, for law enforcement, for all of our first responders, and so much more. So it's very focused on where we live, and we certainly feel like we can help make this a better community by spending some time praying for the community that we live in. Also, I want to remind you to be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an edition of This Week in Evansville. I also want to remind you to like us and comment and do all of those things because we want you to be able to catch all that we have to share with you. We've got some great topics coming up. We're working on getting our new mayor in here. We're going to be talking to state legislators. They just had their org day for the 2024 legislative session, so we'll be talking to them in the weeks to come. So we've got some interesting things to be able to share here on the program. This week is joining us here this week on This Week in Evansville. Jill is the founder of an organization called the Chemo Buddies. It's been 12 years now.
Yeah. So let's go back a little. You want to talk about church or religion and politics. That shouldn't be a problem at all.
That's why we didn't do a show on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Wise enough to avoid that booby trap.
So, hey, yes, I am the founder of Chemo Buddies, but so are you, because you've been with me every step of the way. I mean, you had a real job that you got paid for to show up at every day, but at the same time, it was really, really hard in the beginning, and you were always a great support and would do anything I asked you to do.
Including writing those checks to help keep them. Actually, I didn't write the checks. Jill wrote them without me knowing about them to support a very fledgling nonprofit that has now grown to be
an
incredible organization.
It's a teenager.
Yeah. Yes,
God help us. Yes. So in the beginning, in about 2008, my sister Karen was diagnosed with cancer, and being a very strong and independent, powerful woman, she said, no one's coming with me because I will not be a burden to my family. And if you need to know anything, I will text you. And that's how she did it. But then, I'm going to say 2010, her cancer returned, and it was everywhere. It's what we call metastatic cancer when it goes to other places. And they said, I'm sorry, we cannot cure you. We can keep you alive a lot longer with chemo and radiation, but this will eventually take your life. So that's hard news to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And 12 years later, I could still just sit here and cry about it. What else, Johnny?
Well,
okay. I'm back.
Okay.
So this time I said, I'm coming with you. You're not doing it alone. And from the very first day, she would be like, she had 5 bags of chemo, and the little alarm goes off, and she'd say, wow, that was really fast. And she just kept saying, this day is going so fast. For her, it was fast. For me, it was 5 bags of chemo the entire day spent in the chemo room. But what she was trying to say is that having someone with you makes it go faster. And because we enjoyed each other, it made it more enjoyable. And then after some amount of time, a few treatments under our belt, she would start to notice the other people who were there alone. And she'd say, go get him a blanket, or who needs a refill? Jill's going for refills, or just noticing the other people and putting me to work, taking care of the group. And she called me her chemo buddy, and that's where the name comes from. And even farther along, we sat in the chemo room finally writing a proposal to the docs for Chemo Buddies because we thought, man, yay, we're here every couple of weeks for a day and we are doing a good job taking care of people, but they need more people on the other days we're not here. And clarifying, the nurses are amazing.
Yes.
I am now in 5 treatment centers and I have not met a bad nurse yet. They work their tails off.
And the thing that I think that needs to be noted here is that it wasn't just the facility that Karen was going to that didn't have volunteers there to serve people. That was the norm at cancer treatment facilities everywhere, is that you just didn't have volunteers in the treatment room.
And most still don't. Originally, instead of sitting there writing Chemo Buddies, we are like, let's get on the internet. We will find a program like this and copy it. There was no program like this in any form. They did not allow volunteers into the chemo treatment room, period, anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Not even the big boys like Mayo Clinic and whatnot. Now they do now, but you get the point.
Right. So this proposal that they were working on was really for something pretty revolutionary. It was a need, and I'm sure that the facility understood the need, but for whatever reason, it just wasn't something that treatment facilities were prepared to do.
Safety is the number one rule in the treatment room.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about, like, you come in, you get a blood test to make sure you're strong enough to handle the poison. They weigh you, and then they calculate your dose based on your height and weight and a few other things. So if you make a mistake at any point during that, you could kill someone. And even if it was a mistake that wasn't harmful like that, they are not getting their full treatment in. And that's the whole point of being there, isn't it? To kill the cancer. Mm-hmm. So safety, safety, safety. Then after that, you go to the bureaucracy who says privacy, privacy, privacy. And they did not want any volunteers in there messing around and blowing HIPAA and,
right,
causing a lawsuit of some kind. Safety and privacy. So those are 2 big things for us as we train our volunteers. But moving on.
Yeah, right.
So I started this little program. They let me do it for 30 days by myself before they'd allow me to bring anybody else in case I was, well, I am, but they didn't figure it out. So I started bringing in other volunteers. And your role at that time, since you were the morning guy on the radio, you just started talking about it on the air. And God sent the right people. And the majority of those people are still with me today. So they've been volunteering for 12 years, one shift a week of 3 hours. So like if you work on Mondays from 9 to noon, it's always Monday from 9 to noon. Yeah. So the majority, there have been a few people that have had some health problems or whatever and had to drop from that first class.
Right.
But for the rest of them, they're still. So I'm here to say scientifically, you live longer and are healthier if you're a Chemo Buddy volunteer.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the next thing is the recruitment pitch.
Mm-hmm.
We need volunteers. We'd love for you to volunteer if you have 3 hours a week that you can give to cancer patients. And it's visiting. They come in and show you the pictures of the wedding or the grandson or whatever the case may be. You're just visiting, hospitality, and it makes their day so much better.
The times that I've been in the treatment room, it's been a phenomenal experience, because Chemo Buddies is the only time that I've heard people say, don't worry about getting these things done.
Correct. It's the old Mary Martha.
If somebody needs to talk, sit down and talk to them. And so you'd walk through this room and just carry on conversations with people, and just absolutely an amazing experience. I mean, there are things to do, but the most important mission is making the time pass for that person who's in the recliner. Don Mattingly came in one day and spent.
We basically had to pull him out.
I know he spent the entire day going around talking to cancer patients and loving every second of it. It was just it was such a neat experience for him, as well as for those patients that he had a chance to meet that day. So it's something that's very, very fulfilling. I can't think of anything that is anything at all like it.
I can't either.
Really. Because people have such gratitude.
They tell me that they look forward to coming to chemotherapy, this awful poison thing, because they want to visit with their buddies. And
Right.
we look forward to, oh, so-and-so's coming in today. Let me see. I know she wants Diet Coke and she wants, and we get things ready. We're glorified waitresses, but we get to talk.
And so if you're interested in becoming a volunteer for Chemo Buddies, then go to the Chemo Buddies website.
chemobuddies.org/volunteer.
Okay. So do that, because it is a great experience. If you've been through cancer treatment, you have a certain sense of empathy, that you carry with you when you go in to do your shift. But for a person who's never been through cancer, it's still just a phenomenal experience. I want to encourage you to become a Chemo Buddies volunteer.
Survivors are the best volunteers, but I'm not a survivor, and I'm a pretty good volunteer.
Yes, you are.
Because someone I loved went through it, and there's an understanding, an unspoken connection when you know, because they're going to ask you, have you ever had cancer? It's kind of like when you taught those non-smoking classes, and they're like, did you ever smoke? And you had to say yes, but once you did, there was then
I was qualified.
There. Yeah, you were qualified then to tell me about it. So
exactly.
Yeah, but we're not medical experts. We don't answer medical questions, and we rarely, if ever, talk about their cancer. We're talking about the grandkids, the kids, the job, the whatever's happening in that person's life. We meet them there.
I remember one of my favorite stories from Jill is about walking through and there being a guy who was wearing the
world's greatest grandpa
yes.
on his little hat. And I said, excuse me, are you the world's greatest grandpa? Because I thought my husband was the world's greatest grandpa. And that means one of you's lying. And he laughed. And we started talking. And he taught me so much. He taught me how to, not that I am a domestic person by any chance, but like he taught me how to can fruits and vegetables and how to do different things that were part of his life that I would have never. I mean, I just loved hanging out with him. And we came from different worlds, but we found that common space.
It's a remarkable experience. And I remember walking through the treatment room one time, and I don't remember anything specific about this individual, but there was a guy sitting there who was just kind of in his own world, and he, wasn't talking to anybody, wasn't engaging with anybody. And I wound up sitting down beside him, and we just started chatting. And an hour went by, and I had no idea I'd been sitting there for an hour. And I know it made a difference to me, and I'm pretty sure it made a difference to him as well.
It absolutely did. Not even knowing who you were talking to, because I hear the feedback all the time about what a difference it made. And for some people, they'll write me a letter and say, I never accepted one thing from a chemo buddy. I never need anything. My wife was with me. But knowing you were there made all the difference. And for the record, people are accustomed to chemo buddies circulating throughout the room. So they're not like, who's this weirdo sauntering up here to talk to me? We wear yellow aprons, which identifies us immediately as volunteers instead of staff. And first day of chemo, we introduce ourselves.
Exactly.
We give them a first aid package with a homemade blanket and a goodie bag full of stuff they don't even know they need yet, like a port pillow for their car. But in any event, they know from the first day, hopefully, who we are and what we do, and that we're there as volunteers. We have no ulterior motive to serve them. And, that's a good thing.
Very good thing. Yeah. So Chemo Buddies then survived COVID, which that was a rough time.
It was, but God provided.
He did. And now Chemo Buddies.
As a result of that, may I interrupt you?
Please do.
Just like home.
Yes.
Karen's Wig Shop. My sister's name is Karen, and she always wanted to start a wig shop for cancer patients. And when I found myself out of the treatment room during COVID, because those folks are the most immune compromised people there are, so they didn't want anybody in there. Fun fact, they had to hire 2 full-time staff people to replace the chemo buddies when we got ejected for COVID. That's what a difference we're
Oh,
making.
yeah.
Anyway, getting back to Karen's wig shop, that was her goal to open a wig shop with free wigs for anyone with hair loss. And since I had a little time on my hands because of COVID, I was able to open Karen's wig shop, to create it, to make it a thing. And now we have probably 4 to 6 ladies every single week who come in for their private appointment and get a wig and be pampered and loved on in our little boutique. And it's lovely.
It really is.
It is.
It's,
Karen would be very happy.
the thing that about Jill, I'll brag on Jill for a second here, is because she is so responsive to what needs exist, and it's less about, no, this is what we have to do, and more about how do we make life better for people. And a few years ago, as an example, there's always a health assessment done in the community every so often, and
with all the major players from the community.
Right. All the hospitals, all the healthcare providers are all involved in it. And this health assessment comes out and it identifies like the top need as being transportation. That's one of the biggest stumbling blocks to people getting good medical treatment, is that they don't have transportation available. And that certainly applies in the world of cancer, where people are going, if they have radiation, they're going every day, or they're going for a full day, 1 day a week. And it's very time consuming, and it's very difficult for
Let me hit you with
members.
Some facts, baby.
Mm-hmm.
When people need rides, it's not because they're poor. First of all, both treatment centers for our area are in Newburgh, not Evansville. So maybe they're used to hopping on a bus and going somewhere. Sorry, it doesn't go to Newburgh, does it? So the other thing is almost a whole lot, scientific again, a whole lot of people take Tylenol PM or Benadryl or something like that to help with the allergies when they're getting their chemo, which means you cannot drive. And some of them get Ativan and stronger things. But once you've been sitting there having this medication, you really should not drive.
Mm-hmm.
And what are they going to do? If their kids live in another city, what are they going to do?
So the answer that Chemo Buddies came up with was shuttle buddies.
Yes.
Which is,
there was a point.
Yes, which was to provide rides to people who need them. Anybody who needs a ride, regardless of what your financial circumstances are. There's no paperwork to fill out or anything to that effect. We work very closely with the nurse navigators at the facilities. And if a person needs a ride, they schedule the ride through us. We work with Lyft then to provide those rides. No charge to the patient. The patient will never pay a dime for those transportation costs.
And we're not saying, so how much money did you make on your taxes last year, sir? We don't care.
Exactly.
The point is you need a ride and we're going to give you one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's been going on for a few years now, and has been going gangbusters. It's great.
Since you help with that program, quiz, how many rides do we do a month?
Usually in the neighborhood of...
I'm so glad you knew.
Thank you. No, it runs over 100 rides a month.
Okay.
And 100 rides would be on the low end.
And because I'm a sucker who can't say no, if they need to go to the dentist, if they need to go to the heart doctor, there's a couple fringe items in there that we throw in if they need to go there.
If a person really needs a ride for medical assistance of any kind, we try to take care of them for those rides.
I would like to edit, beep, beep, beep. Sucker. I didn't mean to say I'm a sucker. I'm a softie.
Okay.
That's way better.
All right. We'll switch those words.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever know. Okay. All right. So the idea with Chemo Buddies has been to develop things that help fulfill those needs, so that we're there in the treatment room, but then there's Karen's Wig Shop to help fulfill a need, and then there's the Shuttle Buddy rides to help fulfill a need.
And then there's Mermaids, which is a non-traditional sport group, but it's just a time to go suspend reality and have fun. We've gone and learned how to decorate cakes. We've gone to Board and Brush and made little wooden doohickeys. Wine tasting up at Oliver Winery. Just anything we can think of that's fun, but doesn't take a lot of physical exertion because they're in treatment. They're very tired most of the time. So just fun stuff to get away for a while and have a little fun and forget reality.
And we've done that with families as well. With
we have parent
buddies.
buddies, and that is parents who have the cancer, but their children are 8th grade or younger.
So, a lot of different ways that Chemo Buddies reaches out to work with and help the community. Want to mention Giving Tuesday is coming up, so I'm going to put in a plug for this because thanks to a generous donor, we are able to double donations on Giving Tuesday, and you can donate through our website.
Now, double donations is confusing.
Okay. Matching. You give $10, and
that person matches your 10, and suddenly your donation is 20. Math again.
Very good. So we want to encourage you on Giving Tuesday.
How would they do that, Johnny?
Go to the website, chemobuddies.org.
Once again, chemobuddies.org/donate. Or there's those little tabs at the top.
Actually, there's a specific Giving Tuesday.
Okay, tab. Webman. Now yes. I know. Yeah. But if you go to chemobuddies.org, there's tabs across the top that for the categories.
Just like a lot of websites. Oh.
Now, some of us are not as savvy as you.
I know. I'm sorry.
Be respectful of the dummies.
Never imply that. Okay. Never.
All right.
No. Okay. So we won't linger on the money thing because Chemo Buddies has never been about money. Never. Has. It is.
Yeah, I drive people nuts when I tell them, guess what I'm going to do now? Because they're like, well, what's that cost? It's not in the budget, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. God has provided. There have been so many tearful nights, especially in the beginning. Remember that one year? It was Christmas time, and I'm nonstop crying for days because I said, I'm going to be out of money by Christmas. I can get us through, it's probably October, November. I can get us through Christmas, but then we're done. We're going to just fold up and go away.
And that really wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't?
No. Okay. It's been in the past few years that Chemo Buddies has really taken off.
It was almost like God slamming his hand on the table because every step along the way, he has met me at my point of need. And this is his program. This is not ours.
Yeah.
He was in the treatment room. He's still in the treatment room and he needed a couple helpers. So here we go. But I kept thinking it was my program. And every time we got to that point of need where I couldn't financially function, somebody would just walk in the door with a check, and sometimes big checks.
Yeah.
Or a company would give us a big check. And I didn't write grants at that time. So it was literally God whispering to somebody, hey, and taking care of us. So that time when I said, we're closing at Christmas, it's over, I'm a hopeless failure, he slammed his hand on the desk and said, would you stop it? None of that actually happened, but it sort of did.
It did.
And I have stopped myself from thinking in those terms. And now it's God's program, and he will take care of his people who he loves. He loves every single person in that treatment room. And he does not want us to go away yet.
Well, let's take the rest of our time that we have here and talk.
I can't be a preacher.
You can be. And you can preach in this segment as well, But what I thought would be good is to talk about a couple of those things that have developed that were on the on that list of I don't care about the money.
Hope Fest.
Hope Fest is the first one of those. Hope Fest is I don't remember how many years that's been going on.
I think we're going on 6.
But the whole idea of Hope Fest from the very beginning, I mean, it was, it's nice that it kind of sustains itself, but it was never about raising money. The idea was to have a celebration for everyone who's affected by cancer. And when we say everyone, we mean regardless of the type of cancer. There are 100 different types of cancers out there. So anybody who's been affected by any kind of cancer, regardless of the type, whether you're the patient who went through cancer treatment or whether you're their support person, we want to honor you. And that's the idea of Hope Fest.
May I interrupt again?
Please do.
So Big Pink, there's a Big Pink. It used to be a run and a walk. Now it's a walk only, but they get a lot of love. My sister died from breast cancer. My aunt died from breast cancer. I'm part of that Big Pink family. And I thought it was wonderful, wonderful. I'm not the patient, but I walked away from that feeling loved and virtual hug and, just, yes. supported, encouraged. And when I got in the treatment room and found out there were 100 kinds of cancer, and 8 out of 10 women in my room did not have breast cancer, and they get squat. No encouragement, no love, I couldn't believe it because it was such an important thing for us over here on the pink side.
Right.
And so I started checking, and there was a run for colon cancer. I'm not running anything, as obvious as that may be. I needed an event for everybody else that they could feel what I felt at Big Pink. And so I started dreaming about Hope Fest. And 2 to 3 years, I was visualizing how this would look and how it would go. And then circumstances presented themselves where we could do it. And of course, I do nothing small. So we put it together, and I was driving around Friedman Park in that golf cart, amazed and just looking at it, because we did it. We created this beautiful day for everyone who's been affected by cancer. So anybody who's walked that road can come in and feel loved and supported and encouraged. And it doesn't matter what kind of cancer you had, because shockingly, cancer does not know there are ribbon colors. Cancer is here, it's, wherever it's going to go, it's cancer. It's an abnormal growth of cells.
Right.
You got cells everywhere. There's no ribbons in cancer, and you'll never see me spouting ribbon stuff anymore, because we are one fight. That's the key for kickoff.
I know we'll get to one fight.
Okay.
But first,
one fight. Yes.
Yeah. But first, we want to
finish Hope Fest.
Finish up on Hope Fest, because
all right, that's fair.
So there's a survivors parade, and this last year, I had the honor of driving a golf cart with a cancer survivor in the golf cart.
Because she couldn't even walk down the hill for the survivors parade, which is pretty short, but not when you're fighting cancer.
And just to experience that atmosphere of all of those people on both sides of that walking path, cheering and everything, it was just amazing. So that survivors parade means so very, very much to us, as well as to the cancer survivors. So that's just such an ingrained, important part of it. Now the date for 2024,
April 27th,
and once again at Friedman Park. And we're doing the 5K again this year, along with 1 mile. The 5K registration has just opened up, and it's super early bird special on the registration. So you can go online now and get registered. Once again, you go to chemobuddies.org, and you'll find a tab for Hope Fest on the top of the page. Click on that tab, and you'll get all the information, and you'll be able to sign up directly right there. Great event. We hope that you will plan on being there. Now, one of the things that kind of spun off from Hope Fest then was just another vision that Jill had for dealing with the whole concept of we're all in the fight against cancer, period, together. That we're not all in the fight for this type of cancer or that type of cancer or this group or that group or whatever. It's all cancers. So the light bulb went off for all cancers, one fight. And I guess
you're not used to your guests being animated.
I know, I'm not. No, but the story is basically this. Jill had been developing this vision. She went to a high school football game.
Well, it started in middle school football. And every year they'd have pink night, which again, I'm in the pink family. Yahoo!
Right.
But then my mom got colon cancer. And wouldn't you know it, when they ask, hey, coach, can I wear navy socks in honor of grandma? No, you cannot. It's pink night. So you know how well I took that news. And I went to EVSC and I said, so who's putting these pink nights on? Because the cheerleaders got the pom-poms and the boys are wearing the color and it's full scale. No one's really putting them on. They just started it however many years ago and it just repeats every year in an endless cycle. And I said, well, what if we opened it up to everyone who has fought cancer or been affected by cancer, no matter what kind of cancer they had. And we're going to call this All Cancers, One Fight. They loved it. The gentleman's father had passed away from lymphoma. And he's like, every year we do this at the high school level. And I think about my dad, but I don't get to, he's not pink. So that was really all it took, because you're being inclusive. You want to include everybody. You're tired of leaving people behind. So we did it September 29th at every single EVSC high school. And it was magnificent. And I bet there's a video on our website.
There is a video, actually, yes. But people are seeing some clips of it here on this program as well,
great.
Because it really was amazing to look out at the student section and see a sea of yellow with the One Fight logo on the front of the shirts. It was just
all the cheerleaders.
Phenomenal. So from there then came Hockey Fights Cancer. And then the Thunderbolts had a special night. And at one point, everybody, and it felt like everybody in the place was holding up a sign saying, "I fight for," and it was just so amazing. And signs for a friend of mine, Tommy Mason, who is the announcer for the Thunderbolts. Just phenomenal to see that. You just gets goosebumps just being in the room with that going on. And then so now there are going to be some basketball games coming up, and
we're going to shoot for. See. Evansville Day School plays Evansville Christian School. So we're shooting for ECS and Day School, and then Mater Day and Memorial. So it's not all ironed out yet, but that's the plan for now.
Okay. So, and this is something, and it's not just about wearing a yellow shirt. There's an educational component to it. Next week, looking at getting time in health classes in the schools to be able to talk about.
What if I told you there were 6 cancers, big ones, that we could completely eliminate? What?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little shot. It's a vaccine, a cancer vaccine. Most people who are older, like me, have no idea what I'm talking about. It's called the HPV vaccine. And if we can get our kids vaccinated, it's been out a long time. It's not like some cuckoo science thing. It's been out a long time. We could literally eliminate 6 major cancers. But Indiana, we have an 8% compliance rate, which means, do the math for me, 92%. 92% of people do not have it. And it's like one of the worst in the country.
You did math.
Yeah, but I did it softly.
Yes.
So if you have a grandchild or a child in that middle school range, actually you can get it up to the age of 30 or 40. So maybe you're in the age group there of 30, 40. Anybody can get this HPV vaccine and vaccinate yourself against 6 major cancers.
Good message. And that's
part of promo.
That's part of educating the students in the All Cancers One Fight program. So just a lot going on. Student Buddies has been another area where we've been getting school kids involved in different activities, and North High School has been phenomenal. North Junior High School. North Junior High, yes.
Yes.
They've done sun catchers. They've done.
It's the pork pills. They keep us stocked in pork pills every year. It's part of their 8th grade curriculum now. They use science words and stuff.
So a lot going on with Chemo Buddies, and wow. And,
my favorite one, since you asked, somebody took these little nectarines, cuties, and they drew pumpkin faces on them. And then we passed them out in the treatment room. So you're sitting there in your chemo chair, and here comes your Chemo Buddies with the cart. And they're like, I got a present for you. Is it a big, expensive deal? No, it is not. But then we're like, so the 3rd graders at McCutcheonville Elementary did these for you. They wanted you to have a healthy snack, and they thought this was adorable, and so do I. And so do they. So I call those smile makers. We get all kinds of smile makers from our kids.
Yeah. And some adults bring in smile makers, too. So.
True.
Yeah, it's
I have one lady who made homemade turtles every year.
Wow.
She made me smile.
Oh, yeah. Well, and cancer patients love candy.
Yes, they do.
chocolate in particular. So after Halloween, we are the beneficiaries of hundreds and hundreds of pounds of candy, and
But
we
why, you
just
ask?
appreciate that
Why
so
are
much.
we feeding them candy? Because as the chemo goes in, you get a taste in your mouth that we call metal mouth. And if you're eating something like a lemon drop of hard mint or chocolate, for that moment in time, you don't have metal mouth. Makes it better.
That's right. So time really does fly when you don't know what
I
you're
was
doing.
just wondering how much time we had.
We have none left. So
0.
we have taken our time.
Okay.
All right. So we want to thank you very much for joining us for This Week in Evansville. Once again, be sure to click on the subscribe button so that you don't miss an episode coming up. And we've got some great shows on the way for you. Like us and comment, and we'll see you again next time around on This Week in Evansville.
ChemoBuddies.org.